Good evening and welcome back to In Vino Veritas. I'm Anthony and this is my beautiful co-host, Master of Wine, Jeannie. And we're here to share with you everything about the wonderful world of wine. Now, most would describe, certainly me, that there's red wine and white wine, but there's an entire, almost vocabulary, it's very cryptic about describing wine. Can you share with us what that is about?
Well, I want to divide up the world of wine in terms of its language of wine into two separate components. Make it easy for you to remember.
Okay.
One is the flavor descriptor, and the other is the structure. So on the one hand, when you're talking about flavor descriptors, you're describing the flavors that are in the aroma and on the palate. So you can divide that perhaps into three different major components. One is the type of fruit that you might find. So here you might find some cassis, blackberries, cedar, and those fall into the flavors of how you would describe the aroma. And then if you find any savory aromas such as herbal notes, roasted pepper, so those are the herbal components of wine. And then the third component might be the more earthy flavors. Sometimes you might find actually the taste of the earth, or slate, or stone, or minerals. And these are all the flavor components which can actually vary because you might find some flavor and I might not. The most important part of the language of wine is to understand how to describe the structure. How full-bodied is it? How much density, how much intensity does this wine have? So the structure of the wine tells you the alcohol level, the body, the tannin level, the acidity, and really the entire components of a wine that doesn't change with time. So if you understand that the language of wine are divided into those parts and try to learn a few key words in both of those areas, then you'll be sounding just like a pro.
Well, that is a lot to learn and we have a lot of wine to try. So I'm just going to bring you my human wine dictionary. Shall we?
That's the easy way, Anthony. Let's go. It's fall in Hong Kong, and that means it's the beginning of the auction season. And you have all the auction houses here, very busy, almost giving auctions every couple of weeks. The auction market and the fever has actually started to show a really big interest.
Whether you are passionate about wine or not satisfied with the wines in the market, or if you wanted to become a collector and are looking for the most sought after and rare fine wines, a wine auction is the place to be. So listen up, because we have John Capon, the CEO of a wine auction house, and he's here to give us some tips on what wines to collect.
So John, wonderful to see you and congratulations on your 34th auction in Hong Kong.
34, it's hard to believe.
It's amazing. So you were here really early in Hong Kong doing auctions, being fairly aggressive as soon as they brought the tax down. So what's the market like now? What is it like today? We're in the middle of an auction.
Yeah, no, the auction day was very good. I mean, I think it's like steady as she goes. The market's very stable, it's solid, and it's people are buying, it's active. It's not like it was 2010 and 11 where it was just, I mean, people were throwing around money like
it was crazy times.
Didn't exist. I know sometimes I look at some of those prices back then and it makes me want to break out a tissue, but no, it's a great market. The market is still very healthy, and you know, reports of Hong Kong's demise are very premature. And
well, definitely not in the fine wine, I think.
Yeah.
Perhaps in the middle sector where it's a little competitive. But tell us a little bit about the highlights of today, because you know, I just saw you there, auctioning, sending off all your positive energy and vibes. What were some of the highlights of this morning and yesterday?
Some of the highlights. I mean, I think people are looking for older Bordeaux now. I mean, I think the young Bordeaux market is having some
Tough
difficulties. Time. Yeah, the prices have been too high. The wines aren't drinkable yet. And, but people, when you get into those like 90s and 80s.
And the 61s, you had quite a lot too.
Yeah, well, even
How did they go?
Those are super scarce, and those went very well. So the older Bordeaux market, people are looking for mature wines that are ready for drink, and they can get them for the same prices or sometimes less than they can the new releases.
Right.
So the smart money is going to the older vintages of Bordeaux.
Great. John, thank you so much for taking the time out, and congratulations on your 34th auction in Hong Kong.
Thank you. Here's to the next 34.
Here's to, yeah, exactly, and to the 35th coming up soon. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Jeannie.
And now it's time to join Jeannie with her friends. And they're going to be dining on delicious Japanese food. And they'll be having Pinot Noir, how to pair these wines with sushi and seafood.
Welcome everyone to this very challenging lunch where we're trying to pair Japanese food with Pinot Noir. Joe Mills here with Ripon Winery in Central Otago, and you've come a far way, so thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's great to be here. Food looks amazing.
And we have Steve Flemsteed, who is from Yarra in Australia. And you know, is this something you've done before? Japanese food with Pinot?
No, never again. It's the first time for me as well, so yeah.
Fantastic.
Be great.
And we have Brian Bucknell from Mahi, and this is the first wine that we're having from you from Marlborough in New Zealand.
Yes. We actually have done a similar thing at one stage.
Have you?
Yeah, looking with Pinot, we did 3 different dishes with the same wine. It worked really well actually.
Oh, did it? Okay. So that's why we're having 2 of your wines with the first sushi pairing.
Mahi, we're based in Marlborough, so the top of the South Island in New Zealand. We make it in a very hands-off fashion. So we go through, it's all been hand-picked. We put it over a sorting table, just a slow conveyor.
If we were to compare with the Rye Vineyard.
Well, the second one, this is one of our single vineyard Pinots, and this was the idea of establishing Mahi, was to show the differences across the region. So this is from it's less than a hectare vineyard.
It's really cleansing actually, isn't it? Really good acidity
It
in that.
still doesn't
in
go
Marlborough.
badly with the sushi at all.
The acidity really cuts. I mean, so much of food and wine pairing is about the texture, isn't it? And just the acidity cutting through the softness of the rice and the tuna works very well.
This is a great baked crab meat dish. It's been baked with a little bit of miso, and we're pairing it today with 2 wines from Ripon. Joe, tell us a little bit about the two Pinots we have.
This is the 2011 vintage, which very, very good year, very clean, no problems, hand harvested, very careful handling once in the winery, natural fermentations.
And how does it differ from the Tinker's Field?
Ripon, as I say, is our one single vineyard. Within Ripon, we have very distinct parcels. Voices, if you will. So Tinker's Field is what was ancient riverbeds, so gravelly soils, again schist. These are the oldest vines on the vineyard, so they're, in 2011 they were getting on for 30 years old.
Wow.
So I think if Ripon is the voice of the farm, for me Tinker's Field is a very, very, very pure expression of that schist, of the minerality that we get at Ripon.
There's also some crab roe in there. I taste that creaminess.
Yeah.
Quite delicate to start with, and then it's got that sort of good rich finish to it.
I think that the tannin texture of the Tinker's Field is a bit more velvety. And so to me that creaminess of this crab dish and the velvetiness of the tannins marry really well together. Okay, so we have a challenge now.
Yeah.
We have these very small abalone from Hokkaido. Here we're getting more delicacy, which I think actually is perfect for your wines, because both of these wines have this delicacy and floral notes. Lovely. For me, this dish was a lot more delicate than I thought.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
the Gladystelle for me went better, because the abalone was a lot more delicate than I thought. I was expecting a bigger piece of abalone, more chewy, more dense, and if that's the case, I definitely thought coming in I would probably prefer the Sexton, but the Gladystelle has this floral character and the structure of the tannins. They're both young wines, too young right now.
Yeah, they're very young, that's right.
The Sexton needs a little more time, I feel, because the tannins are just so robust and firm, and it has a bit more of the minerally, earthy savory notes that you liked better with the umami and the dashi, but I thought would have benefited more from thyme. So, Gladysdale.
Cheers that.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
To explore the world of wine, follow us to France, the quintessential wine region of the world. First, Jeannie and I will head to Bordeaux, the oldest and largest wine growing region. Here, we will visit different chateaux, meet some of the biggest names in the wine world. We will also visit Burgundy, where premium Pinot Noir and Chardonnay are produced. After these trips, you may not be an expert in wine, but at least you'll know how to appreciate your glass of wine better. Saint-Emilion is a major wine town in Bordeaux, and it lies just a few miles north of the Dordogne River. The town is renowned for its beautiful buildings, scenery, and of course its wine. And there have been vineyards around Saint-Emilion since the Roman times. And some of the most prestigious, long-lived, and expensive wines in the world are all produced here.
Now this picturesque little village town is only 35 minutes out of Bordeaux, and it's called Saint-Emilion, which was named after the monk Emilian. Now it is beautiful. You got cobblestone streets, beautiful alleys, you got beautiful buildings. It looks like it could be right out of a movie set, but it's not. It's real, and we're gonna have fun exploring the rest of it.
Now, there are a lot of places in Saint-Emilion that are recognized as World Heritage Sites. So where should we start? Well, here's my suggestion. Go to the tourist office, take a guided tour to know more about the monuments like Monolithic Church, the Hermitage of Saint-Emilion, and the Trinity Chapel. If you want to learn more about wine, of course, they have wine schools. And if you're looking for something to eat, here you can find very special French macarons, which are still prepared with a 16th century recipe.
That is delicious.
Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy yourself exploring this quaint little town. But no hurries. Just relax, have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, take some photos. Why not? Everyone has a different style of traveling, right? And for me, right now, the scenery is absolutely beautiful. So I want to buy some of this famous Saint-Emilion wine. But I have a lot of questions, and I need some advice. I found this wine shop. I think they can give me some suggestions.
Well, this is an amazing little wine cellar. How many different bottles do you have here?
Well, in total, we have an inventory of almost 2,000 different wines.
Okay.
A great majority of them coming from Bordeaux.
Okay.
And a significant proportion of that coming from this particular area of Saint-Emilion and Pomerol as well.
Now, I notice you have cases around here.
We do.
What is your typical buyer? Is it they
Well,
buy one bottle, they buy in cases?
They usually buy more than one bottle.
Okay.
Because our clients are coming from many different countries.
Okay.
So we usually ship one or several cases to our clients with insurance and everything by air exclusively.
Yeah, of course. Sure. Okay, so I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm brand new. I'm new to your store, and I've got a lot of money, and I don't know what to buy.
I like that.
What's the normal scenario? What would we do?
You know, I will start by asking you what kind of wines you like, because my point, aussi social wine. You say wine you're gonna like,
Yes.
and you're gonna beg for more, maybe. Alors, I would like to use a couple of samples. If you have a little bit of time, I'd
Sure.
be happy to spend a little time with you, try to figure out what kind of wines you like, because taste is very subjective, very personal.
Every customer has their own personal taste and
Absolutely.
likes. Okay.
So for me personally, I like to invite friends and guests to my home and have all sorts of wines. Like maybe one bottle for each chateau. That would be enough, I guess. Oh, and I better make sure they get home safely.
Saint-Emilion is really quite special. With over 860 chateaux and vineyards in this area, you've got to your heart's content to drink wine. But what's really great is that the community has done a great job at preserving all the architectural history and the landscape. And in fact, in 1999, UNESCO claimed it as a World Heritage Site. Now you can drink expensive wines anywhere in the world, but It's the memories of drinking those wines in places like this beautiful outdoor cafe is the memories that you'll want to have.
There is a chateau whose vineyards exemplify the absolute gorgeous scenery of Saint-Emilion. That is Chateau Pavie.
Wow, Jeannie, this is absolutely spectacular. Beautiful vineyards. And we're here at this Chateau Pavie. What's so spectacular about this?
Well, Chateau Pavie is a very special place in Saint-Emilion. First of all, just 2 years ago, they were upgraded from Premier Grand Cru Classé B to A.
Wow.
Which is a huge
Impressive,
achievement.
yeah.
But because there's only 4 chateaus who are in this Premier Grand Cru Classé A category.
Really?
Very difficult to achieve. There's a 10-year assessment which promotes you or keeps you at the level or can also demote you. So it's a classification unique to Saint-Emilion. And they have a prime 37-hectare, 1-block site, south-facing on limestone. These are the most sought-after terroirs in the region.
Nowadays, when people talk about the famous Bordeaux wines, it's commonly the Lafite from the left bank and Pavie from the right bank. The slopes of Chateau Pavie were first planted by the ancient Romans in the 4th century. That's 1600 years ago. However, the chateau wasn't a famous Bordeaux wine producer at that time. This was all changed during 1855, when a wine merchant from Bordeaux bought the estate and vineyards, expanded it, renamed it Pavie, and brought his newly renamed chateau to the famous Wineries Club of Saint-Emilion. Jeannie will now have a wine tasting run with the winemaker, Mr. Enrique da Costa.
Enrique, we have 3 different vintages of Pavie. Before we start this mini vertical, tell us a little bit about the first vintage that the Pass family was involved in, and when you think for consumers who love Pavie, we start to really taste a difference in the impact that you've made.
In fact, we bought the property in '98,
Yes.
and a blend of 70% of Merlot, 20% of Cabernet, and 10% of Cabernet Sauvignon.
So we do have this 98 in front of us. So this was the first year you purchased the property?
Yes.
And you were there at the harvest?
We were there at the harvest, and we were able to drive the property since the beginning of '98 until the harvest. So we were able to do the green harvest, to do the leaf stripping, to do all the things in the vineyard.
Details, yes. So the first vintage of Chateau Pavie under the Paris family.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What a vintage that with so much expression.
And now we have, it's 98 is 16 years old,
Yes.
so we are going to the earthy side and the
A little bit of leather and cocoa, spices. It's very exuberant on the nose. It has density, layers, just amazing dark fruits, currant as well as plums.
it's a wine. It's not so much young, but we still have plenty wine,
Yes.
very full body, and very good balance.
So this is the 2000 vintage. Smells younger already. Just 2 years difference, but there's a lot more dark berry fruits here. I'm thinking of blackberries. Despite the fact that compared to the 98, it's not as expressive. The flavors are still very closed and tightly wound, but the structure and the muscular shape of the wine makes me think it has a very long age.
Yeah.
I love doing this comparison because the 2000 and 2001 have such different reputations. The 01 is more expressive. It's just jumping out of the glass.
It's more open than the 2000.
Very much,
Yeah.
very much. And 01 is just as powerful as 2000. I think it's just a different expression. So Enrique, the 2 vintages, the 01 and 2000, they're both wonderful. I mean, is 2000 still more highly sought? Is it a vintage that more people are looking for?
the 2001 is underrated and well known because we speak about the weather was quite similar, not exactly the same, but similar, and
a little cooler. You mentioned.
A little cooler
yes.
for the average year. So we were able to harvest wonderful grapes and to do this 2001, which
yes.
is very a lot of aroma, very smells very well. And
to me, the quality of the 2001 and 2000 are very, very close. The personality of the 2001, because of the cooler growing conditions, it really offers a lot of wonderful, interesting aromatics on the nose, much more than the 2000.
It's close. The 2000 is quite close today, and it will happen on the future. But right now, the 2001 shows
more charm.
More charm.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.